Hello everybody, I'm Zachary Summer. I'm reading Esther 9 today. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, the time came for the king's command and his decree to be executed. On the day that the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, the opposite occurred, and that the Jews themselves overpowered those who hated them. The Jews gathered together in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Ahasuerus to lay hands on those who sought their harm. No one could withstand them, because fear of them fell upon all the people. And all the officials of the provinces, the satraps, the governors, and all those doing the king's work helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon all them. For Mordecai was great in the king's palace, and his fame spread throughout all provinces. For this man Mordecai became increasingly prominent. Thus the Jews defeated all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, with slaughter and destruction, and did what they pleased with those who hated them. And in Shushan, the citadel, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men. And in Parshandatha, I don't know. Man, Dalphon, Athpha, Porthana, Adiela, Arthidiela, Parshmata. Man, these names are crazy. Arishai, Ardisai, Vajitha, the 10 songs of Haman, the song of Hamenedatha, the enemy of the Jews, they killed. There we go. Killed them all. But they did not lay a hand on the plunder. On that day, the number of those who were killed in Shushan the citadel was brought to the king. And the king said to Queen Esther, "The Jews have killed and destroyed 500 in Shushan the citadel, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, what is your petition? It shall be granted to you. Or what is your further request? It shall be done." Then Esther said, "If it pleases the king, let it be granted to the Jews who are in Shushan to do it again tomorrow." Dang, do it again. "According to today's decree. And let Haman's 10 sons be hanged on the gallows." So the king commanded this to be done. The decree was issued in Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. Dang. So now we get to see, right, the blessing that occurs once you follow God, once you obey what he says. Esther was in the spot, she obeyed, and then she saves the Jews, and now it's just the story of whatever the enemy planned for evil. God used that, flipped it around, and now even out of fear, even out of fear of Mordecai and fear of the Jews, they started paving the way for justice to be done. God turns it around for good, and it's shown true in this chapter so far. We're not even done yet, but it shows that exactly what they planned to happen to the Jews was flipped. It says the opposite occurred in chapter 1, or in the verse 1. The opposite occurred, and they all got destroyed. Let's keep reading. And the Jews who were in Shushan gathered together again on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and killed 330. They killed 300 men at Shushan, but they did not lay a hand on the gold, the plunder. They didn't really care about the money. They just wanted the people who were against them to die. They didn't touch the money. The remainder of the Jews in the king's provinces gathered together and protected their lives, had rest from their enemies, and killed 75,000 of their enemies, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. Dang. They killed 75,000, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. This was on the 13th day on the month of Adar. And on the 14th of the month, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. No, fasting. They fasted in gladness, praising God. It says feasting. It definitely says feasting. It says feasting. They were happy, bro. They beat their enemies, and they were, one moment you're looking at yourself and you're going, this is it, you know. Like, I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know what exactly God has planned, but right now it doesn't look so good. And then within, 4 days of this happening, God used Esther, and now, like, all this change, God's choosing his people. He's made his promise, and he's keeping it. And now they're rejoicing. They received the blessing, and now they're rejoicing in it. The feast of Purim, verse 18. But the Jews who were at Shushan assembled together, and on the 13th day, as well as the 14th, and on the 15th of the month, they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages who dwelt in the unwalled town celebrated the 14th day of the month of Adar with gladness and feasting as a holiday, and for sending presents to one another. That's pretty cool. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters to all the Jews, near and far, who were in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, to establish among them that they should celebrate yearly the 14th and the 15th days on the month of Adar, as the days on which the Jews had rest from their enemies, as the month which was turned from sorrow to joy for them, and from mourning to a holiday, that they should make them days for fasting and joy, of sending presents to one another and gifts to the poor. So the Jews accepted the custom which they had begun, as Mordecai had written to them. Because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had plotted against the Jews to annihilate them, and had cast Pur, that is, the lot, to consume them and destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letter that this wicked plot that Haman had devised against the Jews should return on his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Man, that's incredible. So they called these days Purim, after the name Pur. Therefore, because of all these words of the letter that they had seen concerning this matter, and what had happened to them, the Jews established and imposed it upon themselves and their descendants and all who would join them, that without fail they should celebrate these 2 days every year according to the written instructions and according to the prescribed time, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, every city, that these days of Purim should not fail to be observed among the Jews, and that the memory of them should not perish among the descendants. Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, with Mordecai the Jew, wrote with full authority, to confirm the second letter to Purim, about Purim. And Mordecai sent letters to all the Jews, to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim at their appointed time, as Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther had prescribed for them, and as they had decreed for themselves and their descendants concerning matters of their fasting and lamenting. So the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it is written in the book. So, I said earlier, like, it just goes to show, like, whatever the devil plans, whatever he tries to make the worst possible scenario, as long as you trust God, as long as you put your faith in him, you just go, God, I don't know, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look perfect right now. I'm gonna be honest, but I trust you, and I'm gonna take a step of faith, as Esther did. Went up to the king, and now exactly what Haman planned to do to the Jews happened to him and his family. His 10 sons got hanged, shown for everybody, and then they made it a holiday. Purim, I think it's pronounced. They made it a whole holiday just to celebrate these 2 days. You know, they're very important days. It's just showing how much God can just completely change a scenario. And all he needs is just someone who is willing to be used, willing to look like an idiot, willing to look like, to other people, it might be dangerous. It might be, in their eyes, it might be stupid. But we trust God, and we go, you know what, Lord, I could totally, we use wisdom. Like, we don't just go off and we don't test God. But if the Lord's telling you to move, Lord's telling you to do something, and you step out in faith, God's going to move. And it's just amazing to see what God can do in the past. Like, this is the same God today. Like, has not changed. The same God that used 2 people, Mordecai and Esther, to change them with like 127 provinces, this kingdom. And is the same God that can use, me and you watching this. He could 100%. He just needs someone who's willing and able. He can able the willing. He can do all he can, but it's up to us to allow him to move. We got to take that step. He's not going to force us. He's going to ask, can you do this? I'm asking you, will you do this for me? And so that's Esther 9, and it's amazing to see how much, with one decision, how much a whole nation, which is what we need in the world right now, not even just America, like everywhere, how much one person, God can use one person, 2 people, like he can use, how much God can use those willing people, those people who are willing to go and make a change for him. It's these stories that should encourage us to go, encourage us to take that leap, and we can. We always can. The devil's going to try to show those seeds of, oh, you're going to die, or, oh, this is going to happen. God's not going to protect you. You're just going to die. No one's going to remember you. It's going to all be worthless. And you just got to go, well, I follow God. So if I die, I'm going to be with him. I obey him. I'm doing what he's told me, because he's my Lord. He's not just my friend. He's the Lord of my life. He is, if he tells me to do something, I'm doing it. Even though, in my understanding, I don't get it, but I'm going to trust in him. I'm going to take that step. And so, take that step. If God's asking you to do something, and in your eyes, it might not look right. It might not, wow, I don't know, why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. And you just take that step. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. Thank you so much for listening, and this has been awesome. We got one more chapter, and this is the book of Esther, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you so much.